Hey guys, and welcome to this week's episode of This Week in Sweden, where I'm changing the format, as I've told you on Twitter and on Facebook, to just cover 1 or 2 or 3 stories per week, and this week I'm covering just one. Oi! My name is not Sven, it is Martin, yeah. Thomas Quick, born Sture Bergwall, a name which he has now readopted, was long believed to be a serial killer. He confessed to more than 30 murders and was convicted of 8. However, all of these have now been overturned, the last one just happening last week. Because securing evidence beyond his confessions was so poorly done that with him now withdrawing the confessions, there's not much that can tie him to these killings. Bergwall is considered to be a compulsive liar, and even though he managed to disclose information that only police had, all of the information was available to him ahead of all the trials, because that's how it works in Sweden. You get to see all the material. And not only that, in every of these cases it was the same prosecutor and it was pretty much the same interrogator. He also had the same lawyer in 6 out of these cases. Now, Bergwall isn't exactly a child of the sun. When he was 19, he molested 4 boys. A few years later, he attacked and almost killed a man while being under psychiatric care, and 16 years later he took a family hostage. This of course landed him prison and psychiatric treatment, and upon his release he suddenly confessed that he had killed a 11-year-old boy about a decade earlier. In the coming 10 years, while heavily sedated, he would confess up to 30 murders between 1964 and 1993, happening in Sweden, Denmark, Norway and Finland. However, some of these are directly conflicting. For example, 2 Somalian boys that he confessed to have killed were later found alive. And another supposed murder happened while he was actually locked up in a hospital. Another suspicious case is the one of the murder in 1964 when he was only 14 years old. This was later, when he confessed, filed as barred, since over 25 years had passed and the case was closed down. But on that very day, Bergwall was actually being confirmed in a church, about 500 kilometers away. The complete lack of technical evidence, the way that the cases were handled, and the fact that some of the victims' families actually objected to the fact that he was being put in prison and being charged with this because they understood that he was not guilty, led to authorities saying that it was the spirit of the way things were handled in the days and nobody can be held responsible today. So aside from this being an enormous judicial scandal here in the country, there's still some questions to be considered. Will Sture Bergwall be freed? Is he fit to join back in society? I mean, you can ask him. He has a blog, he has Twitter, he's quite the Twitter user. But I think the bigger question is, if he didn't kill these people, who did? And my last question is to you. If you live outside of Sweden, have you heard about this story in your country? It has gotten some attention in the European countries. Not sure about, the United States and beyond. And if you live in Sweden, what do you think about this? Did you grow up knowing that, Thomas Quick, he was always the killer? He's kind of grown into the knowledge of society. Or if you're younger, what do you think about the whole thing? Did justice prevail or did justice actually fail? Let me know in the comments. And that was my episode of This Week in Sweden, where I look back at the news stories that shook the lives of us Swedes in the past week. And this week was one story only, but quite a major story. If you want to see more of these episodes, just subscribe to my channel. You can check the playlist for This Week in Sweden. And you can like the video and give me comments on whatever you want. And I will see you the next time you click on one of my videos.